Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be reacting to my top books that I wanted to read in 2022 and seeing if I actually did read them, how many of them I read, what I ended up thinking of the ones that I read. Now, I don't really know how I did with my 2022 TBR because I feel like the first half of the year I was doing really well at reading those books, and then somewhere along the way I just forgot that they even existed, which is why this year when I created my top books that I wanted to read in 2023, I limited the list. I only put 10 books on there. I honestly have no idea how this is gonna go. Today, I'm gonna be sharing with you guys the top 22 books that I wanna read in 2022. Now, is 22 books a lot? Yes. Is it kind of excessive? Yes. Like, why did I do that? At some point, collectively, BookTube, we need to come together and we need to stop the, 23 books in 2023, 24 books in 2024, because eventually the number is gonna be way too high. We're getting up there. Like, it made sense back in, 2013. Now it's out of control. We are out of control. These also are my 5-star predictions. Okay, we will see if I actually gave the ones I read 5 stars, because I think I did not. I don't think I had a very good reading year last year. I've broken them up into categories. Sci-fi. Oh no, sci-fi. Why did I have a sci-fi category? I think I read one sci-fi book last year. Oh no, this is already not looking good. Start with the thrills and chills category, because that's the one that has the most. So the first one is A History of Wild Places by Shay Earnshaw, which I read this. I did not like it. I gave it 3 stars, but actually, I'm feeling more like it would be 2 stars. I was super disappointed with this book. This was probably my most disappointing book of the year. I really thought that I was gonna love it, but what was said in the synopsis of the book and what actually happened in the book did not correlate. And also in my copy of the book, there was a typo that spoiled the plot twist very early on. It was just a mess, and it really ruined the book for me. I actually think this book is why I've sort of stopped reading too in-depth into thriller and horror synopsises, because this one was such a letdown. What the synopsis says is not what happens in the book at all. The next one is Near the Bone by Christina Henry. I read that. I really loved it. I think I gave it 4.5 stars, but it was a super fun horror book. I think Christina Henry is just really fun in general. All of her books that I've read are super fun, and I really loved this. Not 5 stars, but very close. The next one is A House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman. I read that. I did not like it. I think I gave this one 2 stars. It wasn't terrible. It just did not work for me. And I understand what Josh Malerman was trying to do with it. It just didn't work for me. Josh Malerman is very much a hit or miss author, and this one was just a miss for me. The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. Okay, I also read this one. I really enjoyed it. Gave it 4 stars. I thought it was very unique. So not nearly a 5-star, but a 4-star. I'm doing very good with this thrills and chills category. I feel like this is giving me false hope for what's to come in the rest of the video. The next one I have is My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. Okay, here we go. I did not read that. I don't know why I didn't read it. It's still very high up onto my TBR, so I definitely want to read that this year. The next one is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. Okay, obviously I read this, gave it 5 star. Our first 5 star from this video. This was one of my favorite books of last year. And y'all know I'm obsessed with Ashley Winstead now. So we finally have a 5 star. The next one is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. Okay, I did not read this. I actually started it and DNF'd it for now, not permanently, for now. I love Stephen Graham Jones. I've read a few of his books and I really love him, but his writing is definitely something that takes a minute to get used to. Even when you've read a couple of his books, it's just a little bit jarring. So I did start this book and it was just super confusing. The writing was throwing me off, and I think it was at a time when I wasn't in the mood to read a book that I needed to get used to a writing style. I just wanted to pick up something easy. So I ended up putting it down, but I definitely want to come back to it at some point because I do love his books and this one sounds great. And the last book in the thrills and chills category is In the Garden of Spite by
Okay, I was doing
Bruce.
so well. I also did not read this one. Again, I don't know why. I think it just never came up in any of my monthly TBRs, but I really want to read this, and I think that I will this year. I think I have a video idea that I will be reading this for, potentially. The next category is romance. Okay, I'm very curious to see what I put in this romance category because I didn't have the best year last year when it came to reading romances. The majority of what I read I did not really enjoy, so I'm curious to see what I even thought I would give 5 stars. The first book that I have is King of Battle and Blood by... Alright, starting off, I did read this. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't bad. It was just fine. I'm kind of feeling like all of Scarlett St. Clair's books that I read, they've all been 3 stars and they've all been just fine. So I'm probably not going to pick up any of her books anymore. But yeah, this one I did have high hopes for, and it was just, I mean, it was just okay. The next one is Her Soul for Revenge by Harley Rowe.
Okay.
I did not read this one. This one is a book that I had intended on reading during Smutathon, but I mentioned this, I got very, very sick at the end of December and the beginning of January, so I wasn't able to read all the books that I'd planned on. So I do want to read this one at some point this year, and I feel like this will be 5 stars, but I didn't get to it. The next one is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I didn't read this one. I even think this was on a monthly TBR and I just didn't get around to it. And there's literally no reason why. I still want to read it. The last romance book is Always Only You by Chloe Lees. Okay, I did read this. And I gave it 5 stars. Loved it. Love Chloe Lees. Love the Bergman Brothers series. This one and the first book were on my favorites romance list of last year, so we have one success. So the next category is sci-fi. Oh my god, okay, the sci-fi category. The first one I have here is The Calculating Stars by Mary Robinette Kowal. Yeah, I did not read this. I didn't even make an attempt to read this. For some reason, I thought last year was gonna be my sci-fi year, and it was not. It really was not. It was more like my horror thriller year. I think I'm not gonna have read any of these sci-fi books. The next one I have here is The Second Rebel by Lyndon A. Lewis. Shit. I forgot I put that on here. I still really want to read this. I loved the first book. I'm just so bad at picking up sequels. I'm really, really bad at it. Next one is Light from Uncommon Stars by Rika. Okay, this is another one I did not read. I did actually try to read this. I think the reason that I didn't, which is a reason why I end up not reading a lot of books when I think I'm gonna read them, is that I had the audiobook checked out from the library, and then I got the audiobook, and then I didn't read it in the time that I had it checked out. And then, you know, it's just an endless cycle. And then the last sci-fi book is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Also did not read this. So yeah, sci-fi was a fail. Okay, so this last category is my other category. These are all books that like didn't really fit into the other categories that I had. So the first one is Disability Visibility, edited by Alice Wong. I did start this, okay? I started it. And it's a collection of essays. So like, technically, do I need to read it all at once? No. So you could say I'm still reading this because I did start it. I read a couple of the essays, really enjoyed them. I just have not finished it yet. Next one is A Marvelous Light. I did not read this. I did start this and then I DNF'd it for some reason, not because of the book, just because I like wasn't in the mood for it. So I will come back to it at some point. The next one is Reprieve by James Hahn Matson. I don't even remember what this book is. I've never seen that book in my life. Who is that? What is that? Hold on, let me listen to what I said about it. I fully bought this solely on the recommendation of Kayla from Books and Lala. I had not heard of this book at all, but I saw her talk about this in a video and I was sold. I paused the video halfway through and went and bought it. It says it is a social horror centered around a brutal killing that takes place in a full contact haunted escape room. But the way that Kayla described it was like throughout the book, you see all of these characters' backstories. So it's not like super horror. It's more just like an exploration of characters. Interesting. Y'all, you're literally seeing my chronic illness memory failing me in real time. I have literally no memory of this book, but that sounds amazing. Now I'm like, ooh, I want to read that this year. And the last book I got is a book that I feel like every time I saw somebody talk about this book, my brain did not register it at all. So I didn't know what it was about until recently, and that is Finlay Donovan is Killing It by Elle I read this, gave it 5 stars, loved it. Also read the sequel last year, which like never happens. Never do I read like 2 books in the same series in 1 year. That's like not romance. And the 3rd book comes out this week, today. Oh my God, what's the date today? No, next week. The 3rd book comes out, I think, next week. I cannot wait to read that also. Okay, that is the end of the list. So if my math is correct, out of the books on this list, I DNF'd 2 of them, read 8 of them, and out of the 8 that I read, I only had 3 5 stars. So this list, as a 5-star prediction, was a fail. And also as the top books that I wanted to read in 2022, also a fail. I definitely learned something. I feel like every year that I make these lists, I learn something. And this time I learned that I made the list too long. And by the time we got like halfway through the year, those were no longer the top books that I was interested in or in the mood for. So that's why this year I did limit my list. I only picked 10 books. So hopefully this year I'm more successful and I'm able to read all 10 of the books that I put on my top books to read this year. Last year was a huge failure and I'm kind of embarrassed. Let me know how you did. If you had any type of like list of the top books you wanted to read last year, how did you guys do? Were you successful at it? Or are you, basically I'm just trying to figure out, are y'all failures like me? Tell me, somebody commiserate with me. Somebody tell me you did just as badly as I did. Thank you guys for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye.